We're going to talk a little bit right now about the ITIL exam format, and we'll go over this again tomorrow. But briefly, the exam format is 40 multiple choice questions. Each question will have 4 possible answers. Only one is the best or the correct answer, which would get the 1 mark. So the ITIL Foundations exam is primarily focused on definitions. So it may have, it may start off by saying something like a system can be defined by, and then they'll have multiple choice answers there. So it's really important that you pay attention to the concepts that are presented and then ask questions as necessary. The exam itself is 60 minutes, so you get a little bit over a minute to answer each question. You'll also be able to go back and look at your questions and make any adjustments as needed. And the prerequisite for the exam, it is recommended that you take the ITIL Foundations course. However, it's not mandatory. The exam itself will be supervised, and it is not open book. You will need to pass with a score of 65% or get 26 out of 40 questions correct. Pretty straightforward stuff.
All right.
The targeted audience for ITIL. Individuals who require a basic understanding of the ITIL framework and how it may be used to enhance the quality of IT service management within an organization. So absolutely someone like yourself who's looking to take some basic concepts from ITIL and take it back to the organization to increase the quality of the practices and the process that you have within your organization. Also geared towards IT professionals that are working within an organization that has already adopted ITIL or adapted ITIL who need to be informed. So there are some organizations, I actually am in the metropolitan area of DC, and a lot of these small organizations here have government contracts. And in a prerequisite for getting a government contract is that you leverage some type of best practice. So there are companies that have a CMMI maturity level, an ISO certification, or have adopted to ITIL. And so sometimes, not all the time, but there are organizations who have coined themselves as an ITIL environment. And so when they hire someone, they typically send them to ITIL training so that they can understand and keep up with the terminology and of the process that's already been implemented. And lastly, ITIL's targeted audience could include IT professionals, business managers, and business process owners, which we'll get into more discussion about. Learning objectives for the course. You can expect to gain knowledge and understanding upon successful completion of the education and examination related to the certification. And all of these things we're going to talk about. So service management as a practice, the ITIL service life cycle, it does have its own life cycle. That's something that you'll absolutely need to know. The generic concepts and definitions. As I said, the examination is targeted towards the concepts and definitions themselves. So you would definitely need to know those. Key principles and models of the framework, selected processes, selected functions, selected roles, all which have their own definitions that we'll talk about, technology and architecture, and competence and training. So these next few slides go into the syllabus at a glance. I'm not going to go through them right now, but what we will do is go back and revisit these once we've gotten through each unit. So for instance, we are going to move into service management as a practice. We'll go through that unit, and then we'll go back later in the day to make sure that we have accomplished all of the things listed in the syllabus.
Got it.
Okay, topics to explore. Module 1 we'll move into in a moment, the service management as a practice. Module 2, through Module 6 are actually life cycle phases that we'll talk about. Module 7 talks about technology and architecture as it relates to ITIL. Module 8, this is complementary guidance that we'll go through. And Module 9, the qualification schema, which is goes into the various levels of ITIL, the ITIL education and the pathway to get to something like ITIL intermediate or expert or master. And then Module 10 is the summary and exam preparation. Any questions so far?
Nope, let's roll.
Okay, excellent.